Okay, we're on to Chapter 6, and for Chapter 6 I thought I could help you by doing another example problem which will show us how to use arrays. And what I did was I took the problem that we looked at in Chapter 4, which was the Jordan River Car Wash, and if you remember from that problem from back in Chapter 4, we had a price for a large vehicle, a price for a regular vehicle, and then there was the option to have wax, which increased the price by $3. So we used if statements to work through the different options on that, and I'm on that one right now. Let me look at, I can find the flow chart on that one. There it is right there. So if you remember this one, let me blow it up a little bit. We ended up with 4 if statements. So we had, it's actually 2 if statements. I take that back. There's 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 if statements. All right. In order to sort out whether we needed to charge the customer for the large size vehicle and whether or not they were adding wax or not, we needed these if statements. This first one, and then followed by these 2, whether or not there would be wax. Now what I did was complicated it a little bit more. In my new problem I wrote, and I gotta find it here. It's come to me. There it is. What I did was I said, let's suppose right in here, let's suppose that there's another option, which is to have the vehicle cleaned on the inside, and so that would be an additional $3 too. So now we have a fourth option, which would be to have everything done. I call that the works. Okay, so now we've complicated it by saying that not only do we need to know whether or not you have a large vehicle or a regular size vehicle, we need to know whether you want wax or inside treatment or the works, all of them together. So we significantly increased the number of if statements that I would have to put out there to sort all that out. In fact, I think I'd need 7. Happily there is a way around having to do that, and that is when the problem gets so large that you need a big complex of if statements, you're better off using what's called an array, and that's what Chapter 6 is all about. So in Chapter 6, they start off introductory wise showing you what an array looks like graphically, okay, how it occupies your computer memory. So one of the first things we have to learn is that in our language we're going to use here in this class, we're going to give the array a name, and then we're going to put into brackets the subtext, and the subtext is the position in the array. So when I create this one here, prices, and in brackets put 0, I am referring to this one right here, prices 0. This is prices 1. This is prices 2. So if I were to declare this array, I would declare it as prices, and then in brackets I would put 3. And then I would put, after I put prices brackets 3, I would put 25, 3650, 4799. That's how I get that array established into the computer memory. Now later on in that text, and I'll move down, they show us parallel arrays. So here is a rather large parallel array where I have an array, valid items 0, valid items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 5. So this is a 6 item array. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down here is a corresponding one called valid prices. Okay, valid items, this is part numbers for valid items. Down here is valid prices. So that is what I'm going to do to solve this problem now of the car wash. Okay, so I'm going to go back now to the Visio and show you how I did that. So remember now that I now have 8 possible options: large car with wax, large car with inside treatment, large car with the works, or just large car. All right, 4 large car options, 4 regular car options. So rather than do a bunch of if statements, what we're going to do is we are going to set up some arrays, parallel arrays. So we do that in our declarations. So let me make this larger so we can read the declarations. Okay, the first array that I set up is called wash options, wash underscore options, and then in the bracket for the sub I put size. Okay, now size is equal to 8. So I'm setting up an 8 item array. That's basically what I'm telling the computer. First item is reg, second is reg wax, third is reg inside, fourth is reg works. Then I repeat for the large wax, large inside, large works. Those are the 8 items in the array. So reg would be 0, wash options 0, reg wax would be wash options 1, reg inside, wash options 2, and so forth. Then I set up another one down here called price options. This is a parallel array. So you can see it would be a parallel, it would also be a size 8. That makes sense because it has 8 items in it. The price option 0 would be 10. So a regular car just wash, no wax, no insides would be $10. Okay, regular with a wax is 13. Regular inside is 13. And a regular works, that's everything, is 16. Then there's the large options there. So I have set up these 2 arrays. Now I'm going to work this problem using the arrays rather than all those if statements. So the first thing I do is put in a housekeeping. I put in a loop to check for whether or not the input is finished and we're done, or do I stay, or do I go to the detail loop. So let's go look at the detail loop where all the work is done here. The first thing I do is I have a term I call founded, and you're going to see why I need that later, but for now just have faith. Founded equals quote n, that means no. Founded equals no. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have a variable I call x equal 0. Alright, I'm going to use x to vary the number in here. So I'm going to have wash options x, and x will equal 0, 1, 2, 3 as I go along. Alright, so here we go. So I've set my founded equal to n, meaning no, and I set x equal to 0. So here's the loop. Is x less than size? Okay, size is 8. So what that means is I'll go through 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll come around one more time where I've increased the x to 8, and it will no longer be less than size, it'll actually be equal to it, and I'll drop out. Okay, so let's go into the yes part of that loop. So in the yes part of the loop, if the x value is less than size, then is wash options x equal to wash option. Alright, so what we're asking is for the person inputting to pick one of the wash options. Okay, and one of the wash options is regular, regular wax, regular inside, regular works. So they're picking which of those options this particular vehicle is. Alright, and what I'm asking here is the wash options that they inputted, is it equal to wash option 0? Wash option 0 is regular car, no wax, no inside, regular car. If the answer is yes, then I have found it. I have found that particular part of the array. And I go on and say, then since I found it, then what I want to do now is have the price be equal to the price options array at position 0. Okay? Now, if I haven't found it, if the option they picked was regular with wax, that is not wash option 0. So what will happen if it's regular wax, it'll come through here and it'll say is wash option 0 equal to the wash option, and it's not going to be because they picked regular with wax. That's wash option 1. So when I say no, or if I say yes, I come down and I go to the next term, x equals x plus 1, and I return to this loop. So now x is 1. So I'm going to go through this time and I'm going to say is wash option 1 equal to the wash option, the one that the inputter picked. And if they picked regular wax, that is wash option 1. And it's going to say yes, it is equal, and it's going to say found it, yes, and then print price option 1. Alright? And if it's not, and if there's no match, each one after that where there's no match, it'll keep going through, and it's going to find one match, okay? And we keep running the X up until finally we have run the X to 8. We will be looking at all 8 options for pricing, and one of those is going to hit. And when the one hits, we're going to say found it equals Y. We're going to change the value of found it, and we're going to pick whatever one hits. We're going to pick that price. So that's what price is now equal to, whichever one hit. So we now come out of the loop because we've done all 8 of them, and X is now greater than the size. We come out of that loop and we say found it equals yes. If that's true, then output the price, and then output the wash option so we can keep the loop going. Output the wash option prompt and input the next one. Okay, so now you're ready to do the next car. If you don't have a found it equals Y, which means for some reason the inputter has spelled it wrong or somehow created an option that doesn't exist, then you're not going to get a found it Y over here. You're not going to, when all 8 of them are presented, none of them are going to match. It's going to come over here and say, is found it equal Y? And the answer is going to be no, it's not. It's still N, which means no. That means that there's an obvious input error. So here I say output. The output will be input error. That's what the inputter will see on the screen, that they inputted an error. So then they will be asked again for their wash option prompt, and we run it through. So once you get your hands around these arrays, you can see how they save you a lot of time and a lot of space on a computer, because you don't have to create a whole ton of if statements in order to get through all the possible options. Okay, so this is how the large retail stores and the large like Amazon.com, this is how they sort through things. They have large arrays with all the possible parts that you could possibly buy from them with a part number attached to it, and they have another array with all the prices that could be attached to that price, and that's how they sort of look through things. They ask you for a part number, and then they match it up with the price in another array, a corresponding array, and that's how they make it happen. Okay, so I hope this helps. One thing I did want to add to this is that you could make this one even simpler, which I do on this last page. If you have the person input the actual sub number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So in this case, I redid it, and I'm asking them to actually, if they see regular with wax, instead of inputting regular wax, they would input 1. And on this case here, then I could just take it. I could take that 1 and plug it right into the price options and get the answer. Okay, so rarely would that ever happen, but I just wanted you to know that in this example here, it's small enough that you could have the input be the actual sub number in the array and go directly to the price and print it out without having to do the loop. But in general, the most likely occurrence is going to be the loop. Okay, there's some of the other things you can look at later, but I wanted to go through this with you on this video, and then you can look at the Visio charts and pseudocode and give me any questions you have. Okay, so just let me know if you need any help. Thanks.